So Scripture teaches us that all the evil in the world came about because of man's sin. That includes human evil and the bad things we see in nature. All came about because of Adam's sin. However, the fossil record tells us that this stuff was going on long before humans were ever around. So we want to interpret Scripture with Scripture, and the key to understanding Scripture is to read it in context and to know what the author's intention was. Genesis is written as a historical narrative. When it is referred to in the New Testament, it is referred to as true history. And it stands to reason that if it is written as true history, and it is very important that it is, because it tells us why we need salvation and the history behind creation. So if it is not straightforward in its meaning, then how is the rest of the Bible straightforward in its meaning? We'll talk about science now. You say that God is not deceiving, and I agree with that. I agree God would not deceive us. But you say that you don't believe God would place evidence of an old earth down here and deceive us. Well, I have a scenario for you. Let's say that after I make this video, I look outside and I see that the grass is wet. Okay, well, the driveway is wet, the car is wet, I see clouds in the sky, and then my wife walks in from outside and her clothes are wet. Well, I can assume that it was raining because everything outside is wet. And I said, Mandy, what were you doing outside in the rain? She tells me, I wasn't outside in the rain. I said, yes you are. Everything's wet outside, you're wet. She said, no, I was washing the car. Well, what do I believe? Do I believe her if she says it wasn't raining? Clearly my interpretation of the evidence is that it was raining. She tells me she was washing the car and that it wasn't raining. Well, everything I see says that it was raining, but I wasn't there to witness it. So what do? Do I say she's lying because God wouldn't give me this evidence of rain and deceive me like this? Or should I say God is a liar because he made me think it was raining when really she was outside washing the car and she got everything wet? Well, there's another option. If God is not deceiving, then maybe I misinterpreted the evidence. Clearly, it was not an illogical assumption to believe it was raining, because I can stand outside at any time it's raining. I look outside to see the clouds, see the grass getting wet, the driveway getting wet, the car getting wet, and if I'm outside in it, my clothes will get wet. That's all evidence for rain. But it is also evidence for washing the car. Aside from the clouds, you can wash the car in sunlight or a cloudy day, whatever. However, I did not know that she was washing the car. So it was an okay assumption to make, though it was wrong. Now, if I don't believe it is right to blame God for our misinterpretations. We can't say that God placed this evidence here, and this evidence leads us to believe that the earth is old, and if God doesn't deceive us, then the earth has to be old. Because if God placed the evidence there, then he's deceiving anyway, because the evidence says that it came about as a natural process. And that's the interpretation of old agers and young earth creationists alike, that it came about as a natural process and not that God specifically placed it there. So the evidence came about naturally. It is up to our interpretation. And we have got, everybody's got the same evidence. We've got the same fossils, the same physics, the same, the same nature to go off of. We can see it in different ways. And this is here's an illustration of that. Here we see a picture of a girl. She's winking, got her hand up. It's clearly a person that you can see, hair around the face and everything. But that is just one way of looking at it. Here's the exact same picture, just turned on its side to show you a different perspective. Now you see a fish on a plate, which is on a table. Exact same picture, just a different way of looking at it. And this is how the evidence is. Evidence is able to be interpreted in different ways. So clearly, the evidence can be seen in different ways. So, no, I can't say that there's little evidence for an old Earth. Just like I can't say there's little evidence for a young Earth. It's the same evidence, but you've got to see it in different ways. Different interpretations. And there are things in nature that can be interpreted one way, and science can show them to be a different way, but that is different in regards to operational science and historical science. In operational science, you can test the heck out of it. You can see it happening. In historical science, you can't do that. The fossil record is literally set in stone, so you can't see this millions of years of evolution happening. Just like creationists can't see the Great Flood happening again. But we can use science to determine this can happen, and clearly both sides use operational science, but there are assumptions in both views.